G'day detailers, Daily. Before we kick off today's episode, I'd like to make welcome Autofiber Australia, our new sponsor. So, as we all know, one thing when it comes to professional detailing, it's really important to use the right microfiber for the job, especially when it comes to ceramic coatings, glass cleaning, and etc. So, the guys at Autofiber Australia are offering an exclusive deal to all our Detailing Down Under podcast listeners. So they're giving us 15% off on our first order. So head on over to autofiber.com.au and use the code 15DDUP. Also, if you are a business owner, you can also email Autofiber Australia. So that's sales@autofiber.com.au, and that'll get you 10% off, and you set up your trade account for that. So seriously amazing, good stuff, really. I've been using their applicators and scrub ninjas for a while now, even before this pod. So yeah, I really like the brand and what they offer. So, and I wouldn't support it if I didn't like it. So head on over and see for yourself how good they really are and their products. So so thanks again, Autofiber Australia, for coming on board, and hope you enjoy today's episode. Thanks.
Welcome to the Detailing Down Under podcast, the place for everything auto detailing in Australia right now. Here's your host, Dale Guthrie.
G'day and welcome to the Detailing Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Dale Guthrie. So we're back into it, another week, another pod, and got a good one today as well. But also from last week, for those who haven't listened, but yeah, with Maddie from Bush Wraps and Slick As on, yeah, there was great response from that one, and it's going really well. So yeah, a lot of good feedback, and she definitely surprised a few in the industry, and she has a great work ethic. So yeah, I hope we learn a little bit out of that one, and yeah, if you haven't already, check out Slick As and Bush Wraps to see what they do. So it's been really good. For this week, this guy here, I actually met when I think we spoke about it last week. So we've got Rudi from Bespoke Detailing in Queensland on the sunny coast.
Yep.
And yeah, so I met Rudi while we were up there training, and he knows the girls out there, Slick As and Bush Wraps, pretty well as well. So welcome, Rudi.
Thank you very much. Thank you. How are you?
Pretty good. Yep.
That's the one. That's the one.
Bit terrible weather down here in South Oz, but
we had a bit of a crappy weekend, a lot of rain, but today is the sun's cracking the stones out there. It's hot, sticky and steamy.
Oh, wish we had that.
But yeah, we could swap you. I wouldn't mind the cold for a couple of days.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be like how it is at the moment, but compared to everywhere else, we're not flooded, so which is good. But
True.
Yeah, there's a lot others out there doing it worse off, and that definitely. So, all right, we'll get into it. So, Rudi, say how you been into detailing? How long have you been doing it? Where'd you start?
Detailing. So for me, it sort of started on whenever I was young. So my mum remarried, so my stepdad's a mechanic by trade. And for me, during school, to earn a little bit of money on the side when I was a kid, I used to just sort of valet, that's what they call it over back home in Ireland and the UK. Whatever he had in the shop, any sort of big services that I could jump in and sort of do a little basic clean inside and outside. I was like 15, 16, so it was absolutely nothing special. But that's kind of where the detailing bug sort of started. And then in 2009, I moved out to Australia. Worked in a few jobs and stuff, and I didn't enjoy it. A lot of them were office jobs, and I just hated being inside. So I sort of researched the crap out of what I could do that involved me being outside a little bit and interacting with people more than just in a retail environment or that sort of stuff. So yeah, I got into detailing. I started out mobile. So the first probably 2.5 years, I'd say, was all solely mobile, or I had a garage at home, a double bay garage that I could work out of for the larger stuff. But mainly it was all back in 2014, I think I started full time. Sort of packed in the 9-to-5 day job working in a bank and thought, stuff it, let's give this a crack. If it fails, then I can go back with my tail between my legs and ask for my old job back. But yeah, thankfully it stuck, and I'm still in it today.
Yeah, nice. Where were you based back? So when you come to Australia in '09, where was that? Where'd you land then?
Yeah, so when I first moved out, I sort of Coolum up on the Sunshine Coast was my base. I had an aunt and uncle who used to live there. They've since moved back to the UK. But for me, that was sort of base for the first couple of months to readjust. So I came over in the October, which is like just about to crawl into the depths of winter in Ireland, which is freezing cold, and to land into October heat in Queensland. So I left when it was 2 degrees and landed in Brisbane at 34 degrees at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I was just a massive culture shock. I was like, what the hell is this? First thing I did was off to the shop at the airport and bought myself some boardies and a couple of t-shirts because I was not prepared for that sort of heat that quick. But yeah, so Coolum. And then whenever I started, the business was actually up in Noosa, which is sort of like the north end of the Sunshine Coast. And that, like I said, that was all mobile up there for the first couple of years. And then I procrastinated and sort of finally bit the bullet and got myself a shop and sort of talked myself into getting a shop for like a year, saying to myself, I'd love one, I'd love one, I'd love one. Working in the shed at home and the garage was getting a little bit small and not that professional looking because I had all my, like, I love camping and stuff, so it was full of camping gear and whatever, so it didn't look the best. So finally took the plunge to get a shop and never looked back after that, to be honest. I kicked myself that I didn't do it sooner. But yeah, it went well. It was just a little bit of an adjustment period, like with clients and also myself in terms of how to run the books, to how to service things mobile for certain parts of the day or certain days of the week, and then certain days or parts of the day in the shop. But it didn't take long. Within a few months, I was only doing like half a day or fortnight, maybe mobile. All the rest was in the shop. So
nice.
You build those things up inside your head and you sort of get freaked out. Oh crap, is this going to work? Customers are going to drop away, but the customers that do drop away, you're more convenient for others. So businesses really like it when you have a location. So I picked up a lot of business work. So it just filled out whatever fell away. So I got quite lucky with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know after being to Noosa recently, when I come and see you, that weather up there, that'd be pretty crazy being mobile.
Yeah, it was not nice. Especially being Irish. I'm not used to having to work out in that scorching heat. So your days, you'd start early, kind of a bit like everybody else up here. So I sort of was on the road for like 6:30 some days. You try and finish for like 3 o'clock. After that, you start to get headaches and get cooked, and it's just not nice. But thankfully, some of the places I would go to, or quite a few of them, would have carports or something, so you weren't in the harsh sun. But yes, some of the jobs you'd have to pick and choose that you could do or what you could tolerate. There wasn't very often I'd ever have to postpone or cancel because of the heat, but there were a couple of times where I just got sick. You just dehydrate. It's not good.
Yeah. It's full noise, that mobile gig, especially up there, add that temperature of the climate.
Yeah, absolutely huge respect for the people who do it. Me personally, it was probably the best thing for me to do in terms of, because I was very fresh into detailing. Like I knew how to wash a car and vacuum a car. I wasn't detailing fanatic. I wasn't incredible at that back at that time. I would hate to look at the job I did the very first time to what I do now. The standards and whatever change, but mobile sort of gets you to really punch in your processes, because your time is money. Whereas sometimes when you're in a shop or working from home, you can get a little bit lackadaisy sometimes, or I do anyway. Not saying everybody else, but you can take your time in areas where if you were mobile you wouldn't. So it's definitely helped with the process learning and that sort of stuff. Or you learned a lot about your products when you're mobile, especially if you're out in the sun or something like that. What you could put on a car, or interiors and stuff getting hot, or you just had to. You learn fast. You learn very fast mobile.
Yep. So how long in Noosa were you again?
So I started in 2014 up there, and I got the shop in, I think it was early 2017 or late 2016. And I closed that because I did a year and a half over in Scotland in 2019. So yeah, so from 2014 to 2019, April 2019, so 4.5 years, say. And then yeah, did Scotland and detailed in Scotland as well for the whole time, and that was interesting. Completely different climate.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that yeah, so Noosa was really good actually. I had a real nice big shop up there. It was just 4 walls. I sort of put in a partition wall to sort of close off one of the bays, so it was more correction sort of side and polishing on one side, and then the other side was just everything else. But I was very, very lucky with that shop because outside we had it was like a closed in sort of undercover car park sort of section at the back. So you could clean cars any weather and you were in the shade, you were out of the elements. So it was probably the perfect spot. If I didn't go over to Scotland, I would still be there now. So,
Yep.
but yeah, glad we did Scotland. So it was nice.
Where in Scotland were you there?
So we went over to, so my other half, she was offered a position in like a government job over there in Edinburgh, the capital.
Yep.
Gorgeous city. It's almost reminds me of, it's very old, loads of history and stuff, which I love. It did remind me very much of Ireland. So where my family live in Ireland is quite rural. So Scotland's very similar to Ireland, but probably on like a ×3 or ×4 scale in terms of like size of the hills and mountains and landscape and stuff. But yeah, in Edinburgh, which was a really nice city, small, like it wasn't it wasn't like London or any of those big sprawling metro areas. You could literally walk from one side to the other in a couple of hours. It wasn't a big place, but it was nice. It was really nice. Nice, good vibe about it. It wasn't hectic like some places are, like Brisbane and stuff like that. It doesn't interest me.
Yeah, I've done a bit of touring in London, and I've been to Edinburgh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they're famous for
nice
their comedy festival, isn't it? They're famous for.
Yeah, so actually that was brilliant. The Fringe. Yeah.
Yep.
So when we were over there, we were able to tack that into whenever we lived there. That was brilliant. That was so much fun. It's like every night go out and see a comedy gig or there was even quite a bit of music on at that time. So there was always just some awesome food.
Yep.
Yeah,
nice.
It's good.
So that obviously brought you back to Oz after. Did she?
Yeah, so we so COVID started to happen for us over there.
Oh yeah.
So it would have been sort of our mid 2020, I think it was. Yeah, so Chelsea's visa, so my other half, her visa was in 18 months, sort of like they do it sort of, Aussies can go and work in the UK and vice versa. People from the UK can come over here for 18 months and do a work placement sort of thing. And her, because of the lockdowns, they kept getting extended, and Scotland was quite strict. They were offering her month by month extensions of her visa. So it just kept prolonging and prolonging, but it was getting harder and harder to try and source a flight back. So while we were over there, we were just sort of doing what we could do. Luckily through detailing, it wasn't too badly affected. There was a few days off here and there every week. COVID and people sick and whatever, but we battled through it, me and Jason, who I worked with over there at his business privilege detail. Yeah, so we eventually came back. I think it was like mid 2020. Unfortunately, we moved back to Melbourne. So out of one lockdown, we had all our stuff in storage up here in Queensland. So we came back. We had to do the 2-week quarantine in a hotel in the Goldie. Came up to the sunny coast, packed all the stuff in a container, got it shipped down to Melbourne. Following week, moved into Melbourne, and 2 weeks later, we're in lockdown. So we just transferred from one to the other essentially. So we did our 12 months there, and we ran back to the Sunshine Coast after that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, that was the worst place.
Wasn't nice. Wasn't pleasant. Wasn't good.
No.
Yeah.
No, Melbourne's nice, good for a weekend, but yeah, no, I couldn't live there.
No. Yeah, no, I don't think I could do it again. Look, the places I worked down there. So I managed a detailing shop called Detail Mode down there. Actually, Meander, the owner there, she might be a great guest for you, female. incredible detailer, wealth of knowledge.
I reckon I've seen that.
Awesome work. I learned a lot there. And then sort of I did probably manage that place for just under a year. And then for the last few weeks before I moved back up to Queensland, I was helping out at a place called the House of Tint, which they're just a PPF studio. Yes, it's got tint in the name, but they specialize more or less. They're XPEL installers. So Travis and Trish, husband and wife team, absolute guns. So worked in some epic cars there. So that's where I probably started to evolve the PPF skill a bit more there. I helped out obviously with the PPF side of things, but they did detailing as well, so ceramic coatings and all that sort of stuff. So I was a good addition for them. It was sad to leave there because it was a good little team. It was good fun, but yeah, yep. I had enough of Melbourne.
Yeah. Wow. So is that where? So you left Melbourne? Are you straight into where you were now, or not?
Yeah. So we came up in the sort of like June sort of time of 2021, and sort of I had said to myself I was going to take like 2 months off and all that sort of stuff, and those plans don't go like that because you get bored pretty damn quick. Because I've always worked. I've never not been working. I think the longest I ever had off work was when I first came to Australia, and that was like 6 weeks.
Yep.
And I was pulling my hair out then. But so yeah, we came back up, and Chelsea got work right away, and then I wasn't sure where I wanted to restart the business. So the previous business was just Rudi's detailing studio, so I had my name in it, which is absolutely fine. But from a long-term business view, I sort of had other friends and stuff sort of say, why don't you just call it like a name instead of having your name in it? It's harder potentially to sell down the track. So that's where we came up. We were driving around Melbourne when we came up with the name of Bespoke Detailing. So it was always in the pipeline that when we moved back that I'd reopen a business, but we weren't sure where on the coast. So we did quite a couple of, I'd say 2 or 3 weekends. We were driving around. We're sort of thinking the Maroochydore area because it's quite central, and we just couldn't find a unit that sort of would work for us, or for me anyway. So we drove down into here. So I'm in Aura, which is at the back of Caloundra. It's a brand new business park out here, and they're all brand new builds. And the unit that I got shown through by the real estate was an immediate box ticker in terms of the layout and stuff for me, because I've worked in a few shops. So I sort of know in terms of workflow what not to go for. So the shop I had down in Melbourne was like a long, skinny unit. So you could probably fit 2 cars wide, but we had a bay down the back where we did all the corrections and coatings and all our restoration work in there. But when that car was finished, the 2 cars that were in front of it had to be taken out of the shop for that car to come out. So we worked it out, and we did over, I think it was 10 to 12 hours a week we spent moving vehicles.
Wow.
So it's a day's worth of work. You lose out, if not more. We had a couple of staff there as well. So it's almost someone's wage per day that you were spending on moving cars in a car park all day. So
that's not productive.
So I knew, no, it's not. So I sort of knew from the outset kind of the sort of layout I wanted to have. You've popped your head into the shop when you were up here on holiday. So I've got the 2 bays. So I've got one side is more for the machining and correction and polishing side, and then I've got the full light bay for coatings and interiors, and it's epic for PPF. So yeah, I've got some plans for the sort of increase and sort of work out the workflow better for the shop soon. So
yep,
get more work through so I can afford to do all the upgrades. So pull my finger out.
It's a good shop, and yeah,
Thank you.
Being brand new, it was awesome to see. And
yeah, it was a bit of a risk, but I guess like I've done that scary bit before in terms of taking that plunge to go out by yourself. So I just made sure I had a little bit of money behind that I could cover costs for the first sort of like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. I managed to negotiate a couple of months worth of rent for free, and I paid a couple of months in advance. So I knew for the first sort of like 4 or 5 months, I didn't have to worry about that big scary bill. So it gave me a little bit of time. I don't know Caloundra that well, or didn't back then. So it's building a brand new customer base and all that sort of stuff. So, and I've been a bit lazy and slack, I guess, on the terms of side of advertising and marketing. I've only really done whatever I've done through my socials, and that's it really. So, but it's going really well. I can't complain. It's taking along nicely.
Nice. At least, yeah. Obviously, your partner was on board with it as well.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, so she works full time as well, so in her own job. Like she's got a background in psychology, so she's busy. Yeah, so she's awesome. She comes every now and again and pitches in, gives me a hand. You know, stretching out the PPF for bonnets, you need an extra pair of hands for that. So she's the willing accomplice there.
I can relate to that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. You probably touched on it there. The challenges of starting out, obviously the rent, probably something that everyone remembers.
Yeah, so I think I'm a big person on numbers, so I like to nothing like what Maddie was last week. That lady's a machine. But in terms of sort of trying to forecast what my expenditures and stuff are going to be, I sort of try and work to sort of earn that chunk first, and then everything else after that is either back into the business or for myself or whatever. For the first 12 months, it's the business eats the money essentially. You're just reinvesting into material, products, you know, extra bits you want to do to the shop, or lighting or machines and signage or websites, all those sorts of things. So it's money doesn't go very far, you know, when you sit down and work out your spreadsheets or your math or whatever. It only takes one thing to sort of kick that out. But I guess that the challenge to begin with, if you're able to, I know it's not a luxury everyone can afford. If you're starting out mobile, obviously your overheads are so much less. If someone's starting out there, if they're thinking of doing it, I would probably lean towards, if you can go mobile first, you'll learn so much more. You'll learn your processes, what to do first, what to do second, what to do third, your pack up and tear down and tear up sort of stuff of, setup. It just helps so much more. And then whenever you get in, if you do get a premises, if you want to go down that path, you sort of know how you want things or where you want things to be. If you wash a car in a certain location of your shop or something, to have the certain gear around you for that job. Then if you move it into an interior section, you have those things sort of lined up and ready. Just makes the process so much easier. Customers, yeah, they can be hard to come by sometimes, but the greatest thing in the world is word of mouth. I haven't spent a penny on Facebook ads or marketing or anything like that since this new business. I don't need to, so which is good. Saves another bill, but yeah, word of mouth. If you can get a few people around you that are close and that value what you do, then they're worth it. 5,000 bloody letterbox drops or an ad in the newspaper or your local radio or something. Those people will bring you money every day. Yeah.
We hear that a lot. And even the mobile side starting out, there's a few guys that have done that and said the same thing. So yeah, I never tried it, but probably would have been handy, I guess. But...
yeah, I sort of treated the mobile side of things as like an apprenticeship. So I learned all the trials and tribulations of even trying to correct a car in someone's garage. You're walking around with one or two spotlights, so you've got isolated light to try and do what you can do, and then that's when you get the creative juices flowing in your mind. It's like, God, this would be so much better if I had a shop or a garage that was kitted out at home, to the way I need it to be. And that's just where it all sort of snowballed from. I just got more into, I love correcting paint, like texture removal or wet sanding, restorations, all those sorts of, I love all that stuff. So it's, you just sort of get into that. And yourself, when you're sat in a polisher, you need something to keep your mind busy because it can get quite repetitive. So I've invested in a really good pair of headphones, which I still have today. Podcasts or listening to like other detailing shows, audiobooks, music. I kind of get bored with music after a while when listening to it. So yeah, I need to listen to people talking. It engages the brain a bit more, or it takes you off down rabbit holes. So I did a lot of that stuff in the early days. A couple of the American, I think it was Detail Talks, I think, that I listened to, and they were talking. What a few of the episodes were about shop and the transition from mobile to shop life.
Yep.
And then that was just like, once I heard those few episodes, I was like, okay, I want to shop. You sort of get, and then you get fixated and addicted to that. It's like, okay, every extra job this week will go towards that big lump sum of money that I need to get into the shop. And it did. Like, it didn't take that long to get in there. And you just build it slowly.
No, it's a good story, because yeah, it is scary taking the jump.
It is very scary, and I was really worried about my customer base. And like I said before, I thought, God, if I lose 50% of these people, I'll be down
Yep.
proverbial creek without a paddle. But yeah, it works out if you put in the effort, if you put in the work. It's your own 2 feet will make it stand. So yeah, if you're committed enough, it'll float.
Yeah. So how did you end up knowing Maddie and bush wraps? Where did all that start?
So way back, so whenever I had my first website built, there was a guy who built it for me, and he knew of Maddie. So he was based in Coolum, and I think her family used to live in Coolum. They live back up there now. And he said he knew of Maddie being in it, because back then she was detailing herself, like she had those cleaning contracts and stuff. And he said, "Oh, why don't you touch base with Madison Lawrence? Get in touch, blah blah blah. She might be able to help." And this is way early days for me, so I jumped on. I sent her an email, sort of asked her some tips and tricks, how to approach certain businesses, because I felt as well myself that if I was able to score way back in the early days a contract or two, or like a fleet or something like that, that takes a bit of financial pressure off. So, and I did that. I scored a couple of like medical businesses, that had 6 or 7 little Toyota Corollas that would transport equipment and stuff around the coast. A couple of businesses like Sparkies that had like 6 vans and stuff like that. And those things I treated them as the bread and butter. So they paid the bulk of what the bills were. And if you were able to score the random phone call that someone needs a detail or whatever, or they're selling their car and they want it done for the weekend, blah, the usual stuff, then I was able to slot those in. So yeah, I got in touch, reached out to Maddie, and she emailed me back within a couple of weeks. And yeah, so she sort of gave me some tips and tricks and whatever. And then she emailed me probably, I'd say, about 4 or 5 months after that. And she was saying, because I think she was based in Rocky or Emerald at the time. And she was moving back down to the sunny coast. So that's when she was in with the prime movers and the trucks and stuff like that. So she then reached out to me. She needed someone to contract some of the detailing work out too. So I put my hand up and said, absolutely. And then that's where we got to know each other, and that's where the friendship sort of blossomed from there.
Yep.
She's been absolutely brilliant to me over the years. She's sent a lot of work my way. She's helped me get to where I am today. So in a way, I do owe her a lot for bespoke detailing and what it is today. So she's a legend.
Because I remember when we were at the bush wraps training, you'd done some PPF like you said, but you hadn't just done the bush wrap stuff.
Yeah, so way back whenever she started installing, so it was up in Coolum. That's where she got her first shop. And it was more, like she was saying, targeting the bigger vehicles and stuff. But the very first one that we worked on, which she touched on last week, was a Prado. And we thought, oh yeah, this will be awesome. Like we had gone out to the States, so she tagged me on to her training exercise that we went out to California. Sorry, Vegas. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was California. It was in Anaheim where we did the training. And that was, after like 2 days of that, we were just like, what the hell are we doing? This is not my skill set, but you persevere, you get there. Like I remember we were doing like a front bumper of a 3 Series, an M3 Beamer. And it legit took 3 of us like 9 hours. It was just soul destroying. So we got back from that, and one of Maddie's friends was like, yeah, you can wrap my car. And so it was a Prado. We thought it was brand new, or it was, since they had it since new, but I later found out that it wasn't, because I was readjusting a piece of film on I think it was the back passenger side door. And I was had pressed down, sealed the most of it. It was just the top leading edge where I was peeling it back to re-wet with alcohol to really get it to stick. As I was doing that, pulled off a big chunk of clear coat, and my stomach sank, and I just went, Maddie, and she knew by my voice as well. It was like, oh fuck. So we learned a lot there, and we were like, oh yeah, we could get this done. But we could do this in like a couple of days. It took us 5 days, like 12 hours a day each. So it was a huge learning curve. So yeah, I was obviously detailing my own business, and then whenever she got work through, I would jump on and help with all of that. And then she moved her business down into Brisbane. It just made more sense because she got really into the prime mover and the trucks and all those sorts of things. Who's going to want to drive a truck from Brisbane to the Sunshine Coast? It's like a 2-hour one way, 2.5 hours. On a bad day, maybe 3. That's 6 hours. You got to pay a driver to come up here, drop the car or the truck off and stuff. So it just made more sense. And honestly, she hasn't looked back since then as well. She's gone from strength to strength. She's got 3 shops now. So
yep,
she's done really, really well.
No, it's good. And how's that going for you after your training? How that's
taken
off?
Actually really well. So it took a little while I guess for me, it was the confidence in myself to sort of push the bush wraps. So once I'd ordered a kit, played with it on a car, it's like, oh, actually these templates are pretty good. They line up quite well. It's not that hard to apply. And then it was, anytime anyone, especially with the 4-wheel drive, comes in for a quote for ceramic coating or anything, always try and give them options. So it's like, look, do you know about bush wraps? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh yeah, we've seen the videos online, especially the ones like them scratching at the screwdrivers and keys and nails and brushes and all sorts. And then I guess it has sort of filtered through, like, I don't know, I probably get 5 or 6 inquiries a month for a bush wraps kit. And then it's just contacting the customer, between the different types, the kit, the advanced and the pro. Just sort of make sure that it's what will suit for them.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people think it is, okay, stick it on, never have to worry about it. It's in a way, it's similar to a ceramic coating. You have to look after it as well. It's just like anything in life. If you don't want to buy a car for 50, 60 plus $1,000, then spend a couple of grand getting parts of it PPF'd or it PPF'd and then neglect it. It's stupid. Yeah. So, but yeah, that stuff has been really good. I've noticed, like, I've done past couple of weeks, I've done 2 Y62s and a MP300 Navara. So they were good. The Navara actually was a kit I haven't used. So that's like the 1-year version of the film.
Yep.
And that was actually so simple, really easy to apply. And then the last 2 were advanced, with one of them was a full bonnet as well, which I was a bit worried about because that's a 2-person job, that one. So I had my other half, Chelsea, so I roped her in to be the extra pair of hands for the stretch. But yeah, that went really, really well. Customer was absolutely stoked with that. And I'd sort of tack on a few other bits and pieces. So I did like all the piano blacks on the exterior, all the door. So I wrapped them in PPF, the backs of the mirrors, the A-pillars, inside the door jamb. So I'll do the sills and stuff.
Yep.
And then any areas that haven't been PPF'd, I give them the option if they want to ceramic coat them. So for the Y62, one was chopped, one wasn't. So the standard, the non-chopped version, that got the roof and the tailgate were ceramic, front and rear bumpers. And then the glass and stuff. So it's good. It's really, really good. I really enjoy actually doing that stuff. It's quite nice. With the inquiry that's coming up, it'll probably be, I don't know, it's probably 5 or 6 weeks worth of PPF jobs there if they all come through, which would be nice.
Is there many others around your area doing bush wraps?
So there's no one else on the sunny coast, so I'm quite lucky with that.
Yeah.
Which is probably the opposite of what I can say with the coding side of things.
Mm.
But yeah, so I like that way it's done because it doesn't completely dilute the market.
Yep.
You're not then, not that I'm charging a huge price or anything like that, but people then price gouge other people. So that you get that price war, and it's the race to the bottom. It's
Yeah.
like, how much you're going to do the job for, to the point where you obviously you need to put food on your table every day. So yeah, it's all those things. You got to factor that stuff in the pricing. PPF, yourself, like it's quite hard. Sometimes it can be quite easy, or sometimes it can be quite difficult. So you could, a panel might take you 30 minutes, whereas another time it could take you an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Mm.
So it's just trying to find that happy medium. I know Maddie was talking about using Monday, and she time tracks all of her panels and installs, which I think is a great idea.
Mm.
I heard you were saying last week as well that you've started to sort of keep a mental note or take note of your installs and
Yep. Yeah, I have for a
processes.
while. Yeah, not
Okay.
much individual panels, possibly something to work on, but yeah, just the correction time. Because some of that's included in some of the packages, and then if we go over, we'll have to keep track of that. So
Yeah. That is also another very hard. Honestly, that's probably one of my challenges with detailing is when is enough. It's like when to stop, especially with correction.
Yep.
So I sort of, will give a blanket introduction price of what a paint correction is, but it's obviously it all goes down to inspection of the vehicle and quality of the paint or condition. So yeah, like, if someone books in a single stage, you're working within a percentage of what you think you can achieve within that time frame. 9 times out of 10, I spend way longer than I should. And that's my own fault. I need to be better with myself with that, but I just want to constantly like over provide for the customer, I guess. I sell myself short. The customer gets more, but I get less.
Yep.
But that's not their fault. That's mine. So I need to control that better. That's still like, what's this, 2020? So what's that, 8 years? It's still a problem I have today.
Yep. I'm 100% the same. And even my wife picks up on it. She says, you spend too much time. I said, well, yeah, you sort of treat it like your own and you want it perfect, but it's not going to, a fine example was the other week, but that was sort of a sight unseen, which we sort of don't do, but a car 12 months old, you would think it's not too bad. And I got it and it was trashed. So, it was on top of our package. It was another 7 hours of correction. Dark blue, full of piano black plastic everywhere. And it was, looked $1 million, but, and I got charged for it. So it was fine in that way, but, and they were understanding how bad the condition it was. And I think a car 12 months old shouldn't be that bad, really. How bad could it be?
Absolutely. And that's the other thing. It has a knock-on effect, for the rest of your week or the rest of your bookings. For example, if you had that car, so I don't know, say you had time slotted a day and a half, for that job or a day or whatever, but you had the rest of your week full, or if that was in the middle of your week and you had jobs before and after it, you're pulling some mad hours to get that stuff finished, so you can also do the other. It doesn't affect the other jobs. So that's where I say not only does it affect your pocket, it affects your work time. You spend 16 hours at work instead of 10. Affects family time. All that stuff as well. So
just snowballs, and then end of the week.
It does. It does. And you feel like you're the one that has to cop it. So that's If
you can charge accordingly for it, the extra time you have put on it, that's great, and you can get that. That's even better. So
for sure.
But sometimes you do lose out, but then it could work the other way. Like if you do a little bit extra and you think, oh, I've lost out that job, then they go and tell someone else and they're like, I want my car done, and then you might make it up back in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And 9 times out of 10, that's how it works. You'll, like, I know a few months back I had a lady with a Jaguar, and the paint was black. Black Jags were not built for Australian sun. The roof and the bonnet really started to cloud up. Car was only probably like 5 years old, I'd say 6 years old. So I gave it it's unseen. I gave a basic price over the phone, and then when the car got here, I sort of said, look, this is going to take longer. It's going to cost, a little bit extra, blah, blah, blah. But this is what I can do. Or if you want the next stage, this is also what I can do. So we sort of went in between. So I did like a little bit of a light sand on both the bonnet and the roof to sort of even it out to the sides of the car. And I just said to her, I was like, look, if you are going to keep the car and protect it, whether that's PPF or ceramic, but you'll be back here in 6 months' time, polished again, and it's probably not going to be able to do it again to that degree because sanding you'll have removed a fair bit of clear. But yeah, those sorts of things, like that was like a 1 a.m. finish. That should have been 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, but I don't know, I get fixated. You lose time. I do it with PPF as well. You put the headphones on, you disappear. All of a sudden, you look at your watch and it's like 9 o'clock, and you're like, "Crap, I'm supposed to be at home."
Yeah. Well, you say this should be done by now, but I'm still going. You're like, holy hell.
Yeah.
So, what's your products up there? What are you certified?
So,
I know.
Yeah, so I'm a certified G-Technic in coating installer. Awesome coatings. Look, probably be a bit of a sore thumb about it, but the one I love the brand, I love the products, I love the coating. The one thing I wish there was a bit of control on how many people in the same area use the same same coatings. There's so many installers up here, so I don't know. I might start jumping in and sort of looking at other coatings and other brands to sort of not only just offer G-Technic because I love those coatings, but offer them customers another option. I do like that idea of maybe being able to cater to all needs as opposed to pushing what you can cater to. And then the PPF side of things as well. So that's all bush wraps, the same as yourself. Same as you as well in that terms. Like I am not prepared to outlay that amount of money on plotters and digitizers and
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Stock of film. Like I've got the space here to do it, absolutely, but it's a little way off the track yet, I think. But that's if I feel like I need to, I'll probably do that. But I'm loving installing the bush wrap kits. I think they're awesome. They're good. They're massively hitting a need in the market.
Yep.
So they've done well sort of devising that product. Sort of, I know a lot of time went into that, like years in terms of building the templates and the profiles and mapping out all the cars. So that stuff is good fun. It's good fun to do. Gets you out of the sort of generic detailing work as well, because here I do everything, from maintenance to full interiors to corrections to restoration. So I've got a lot of background in texture removal and wet sanding and post paint, sort of denibbing and all that sort of stuff, and getting runs and stuff out. So yeah, I do a little bit of that, not a lot of it up here. Used to do a lot of that in Melbourne. Like every car was like 5 days, 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
Whereas up here, it's a lot of the the protection side of things is generally on newer vehicles. I think it's really started the education of what a ceramic coating can do, especially away from the dealership. So the dealership, that's where they make the markups and stuff. That's fine. But I don't like the dishonesty side of that, where they try and sell you something that it isn't. It's not a miracle. It's not a diamond that they're putting on the car that's never going to break.
Yep.
So yeah, if anyone, doesn't matter if they come to me for a ceramic coating but if anyone's ever listens to this and is interested to learn more, call your local detailer. Jump on their website, have a look. What coatings they offer. Do they do PPF? Do they just do ceramic or whatever? Get in touch with someone, because it's us as detailers are more than happy to talk all that stuff through with people. The education of that, like I guess going back to, on that as well, the education side of things in terms of the client and customer. When Maddie first sort of brought out PPF to the sunny coast and Brisbane and stuff, it wasn't like people were like, what's PPF? What does that stand for? It's like paint protection film. So you had to do that whole spiel with them constantly, like what we would do with ceramic coatings. And it's just, I think, like it's been in America for decades. It's been in Europe for a long time as well. It's slowly getting here. There's more and more shops, incredible places that offer the PPF, with all the brands and Expel, Suntech, and all that sort of stuff. So people are more aware. They are seeing it more often. You know, there's these four-wheel drives, the shows on TV, the people have it on there. Yeah, it's getting there. So I get a lot of people, instead of me recommending them to PPF, they're like, "Oh, what about PPF?" Whereas I've noticed that probably in the last, I'd say, 12 months or so, where the customer's asking about PPF as opposed to me telling the customer about PPF. And it's not that you're trying to sell it to them, but to give them the idea of what it is so much easier, because they kind of have a little bit of knowledge of it. And I always have cuts, like always have stock of film here. So I had a couple of phone calls today with people. I had one on Friday, one today, sorry. And they're like, I've seen it, I've seen the videos, but I don't know what it's like. It's like, just pop in, have a look. You know, I can put a sample piece in your hand, you can feel it, you can play with it, you can put a little bit on your car. You know, if you don't want to put it on your car, you can put it on something else, you can scratch it, you can, you know, we're all sensory anyway, so I think that stuff helps. I've got a few ideas in terms of displays and stuff for getting a couple of panels and doing sort of like 50-50s, 50% PPF, 50% ceramic, sort of, you know, a gauge for the customer to sort of play it with themselves. They can do what they like and destroy the panels, but it's a visual representation. I know for myself anyway, like it's far easier to sell me something I can see and feel and touch. Whereas if it's something I'm reading about online, I'd far rather go to a shop and see what it looks like and that sort of thing. It's easier for me to comprehend that. I know other people are different, but I'm sure there's other people out there like that. It sinks in a bit better for them.
Like you said, with the dealership stuff, I can relate. Today, a customer said, he just brand new car, wants it coated. So he said, we all know what that, obviously he didn't take up the dealership coating or whatever they're offering. He said, well, we know what that is. It's not worth this and that. So I think the mentality of people these days, just when coatings is coming around, that dealerships are just not going to get that business anymore. So
no, it'll hurt them. You know, they will try and look elsewhere to make that back. Like, for example, I had a guy inquire, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, he's getting a new D-Max in a few weeks, and he was sort of touching base, like, oh, how much for a bush wrapped kit? And then, you know, can you ceramic the other bits that aren't done? It's like, yeah, not a problem. So send him off a quote. He's like, that's cheaper than what the dealership paint protection was. So it's a no-brainer, you know. So and it works. It's not a polish.
Yeah, exactly. No. And I agree with the bush wraps or any film sort of displays. I've got the little bonnet with the two pieces. So that works all right. It worked all right at the car show recently to show people, because they want to see that. And even people that come off the street come in, you get them an offcut and you show them what it's all about. So education's a big thing. So
huge. And I think as well, a customer will value that more. If you're prepared to give that customer that information, a breakdown of all the different products or services that you offer, coatings or PPF or whatever, 9 times out of 10, they'll listen. And, you know, if you're able to provide them with constructive evidence or whatever, then they'll be more inclined to listen to that. Even if they go and call someone else and sort of price shop and whatever, if, you know, sometimes they'll get a vibe of someone who's just like, yeah, this is what we charge. That's it. And they're like, okay, wasn't that inviting or whatever. So that can be a way to also win confidence. Confidence is the biggest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you said there's a lot around you, but the culture up there, I know you're probably new to that area. Do you palm work off up there to anyone else?
I do. So I have done for the past sort of like couple of months. Some of the smaller stuff, it's been harder for me to fit in, more express or mini detail sort of side of things. I try and get as much of it through the door as possible. I hate turning money away, but it happens sometimes, you know. There are a couple of detailers here. So like Joe at Clean Getaway, I know of Joe and have done for years. We've recently sort of crossed paths quite a bit. You know, I buy some of his Autofiber applicators and cloths and stuff from him.
Good stuff.
There's another, yeah, it is good. It massively helps, really speeds up the coating application.
Yep.
And I hated using suede applicators. I just found in certain paints, and sometimes it scratched the crap out of it. So you were brainstorming what else you could use anyway, you know. So they're perfect. And then there's a couple of other mates. So like there's a real good friend of mine, Alex, up here. He has a business called Coastal Detailing. He's a fully mobile dude, but does have his garage set up. He can do coatings and all that stuff as well. But me and him, we'll catch up for a beer every few months or whatever, and it's the same thing. You know, you could be essentially like correcting a car. You know, you think, okay, I have this done in 4 hours, and then boom, it's 10 hours later. It's like, crap, it's dark. Need to go home. Yeah, we talk shop a lot. And then there's a couple of others. Like when I was up in Noosa, I had another mobile guy, Chris, up there. I think he's recently sold that business to somebody else. So yeah, I had a network of other detailers that I would, you know, if a job wasn't for me or if I couldn't fit it in within that time frame, I'd always give the customer an option. You know, give Alex or give Chris or give Rick a call. You know, there's plenty of us out there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
the culture's
nice.
not too bad. Like the scene and stuff. Like I am sort of kind of new back into it again. So there's only a few people I sort of speak to. So whenever I moved away in 2019 from the coast and came back last year, so in that 2 years, I remember Noosa, when I started in 2014, there were 3 detailers on Google or Yellow Pages. It was me, Chris, and then another car care company. And we all knew each other. We all spoke quite regularly and whatever. And then by the time I left in 2019, in Noosa alone, there were 14. And that was only the ones that were registered in the directories and stuff. There were loads more just mobile people who were just word of mouth sort of thing, or Facebook and stuff. So it's gone mental, the car maintenance side of things.
Certainly has.
Yeah, it's really blown up. Yeah.
Be interested in the next probably 12, 24 months to see who will still be around, because we'll see what happens next year.
Yeah.
But with everything,
I agree with that. I agree with that. I've said that a couple of times with me and Chelsea. We have a chat every now and again about stuff. Or if we're out driving, you'll see like, oh, I don't know, making this one up, but AJ's mobile detailing, you know, and stuff like that. It's like, oh, that's a new one. I haven't seen that one before, and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you'd be surprised how many will be still going in, like you said, 12 months or 2 years' time. Because I find sometimes it's sometimes a job that people think, oh yeah, that will be good. That shouldn't be too hard. Washing cars or cleaning cars isn't hard. And then they get the car and they get the buckets and pressure washer and go out and do it for 5 days a week and realize, crap, this means working in the sun for 40 hours a week. That's hard on your body. So yeah, a few people are just like, nah, stuff that. I'll go get a job somewhere else. So I get it. Look, I was close at one stage myself. It's just like, I don't know if I can do this in terms of the physical outlay of it, because detailing is quite demanding on the body, regardless if you work in a shop or if you're mobile. It's still very physical. So yeah, it's like being in the gym for 8 hours a day. I'd say anyway. I'm not the healthiest or fittest of people, so yeah, it can take its toll on me. I get a sore back every now and again. So
yeah, same. Can't say I know what a gym looks like, but
yeah,
maybe I should. But
same.
Is there anything we can improve in the industry, you reckon? Probably talked about it a fair bit.
Yeah, I do actually. I really do think that the industry needs to be, I wouldn't say regulated, but there needs to be some sort of recognition of people's skill. So if that means, I'm not down talking or sort of, saying one's better than the other or anything like that, but people who are out there maintaining cars or washing cars, doing your vacs and washes and wipe downs and stuff. Yes, that's a service I offer within my business, but I wouldn't classify that myself as detailing. It's more like you don't call vacuuming your house and wiping down your benches, you don't call yourself a professional cleaner. So I guess in terms of, especially with things like paint corrections and stuff, knowing what you're working with, the material, the types of clears, the different types of paint systems, the thicknesses, and working with different materials like plastics or glass or fiberglass or aluminium or metal, all these different things. We need to learn about that stuff. Took me a long time to learn about that stuff myself, but I did it. And I know not everyone does, because not everyone, but some people just think they'll go to, I don't know, Super Cheap or Repco and pick up a polisher for $80 or $90. Decent polishers, don't get me wrong, but I could give you a crappy polisher and you'll still do a good job. It's because your skill, you're able to do that.
Yep.
And you've got to learn from the bottom, like you've got to learn all that stuff. So I would say if we could somewhat regulate that side of the industry, because if you stuff something up like that, that's expensive out of either your pocket or your insurance or whatever. And if you're not competent to do those sorts of things, if you're burning paint or running edges or wrecking plastics and stuff like that because you're not taping or masking off, just those little things, I guess. Like there are also detailers out there who offer training courses. So again, like I'll jump back into, like, if someone is thinking of getting into detailing, I would massively either get in touch with a local detailer who you know or you like or whatever, because most of us will be more than happy to spread a bit of knowledge or tips or how to do things or whatever to give you a hand or help you. I've done it for a few people. Excuse me. Or go and get yourself some. I know there's not a lot of places that will give you a certification in paint correction because there isn't that, but you can go and do a 2 or 3 or 4 day course in how to decontaminate a vehicle properly, safely, polishing, sanding, all those techniques. I think that side of things, I know panel beating and stuff is far more intricate. There's way more to think about that in terms of materials and stuff that you're working with, but I do think something needs to happen in that respect, because the amount of cars I've seen over the years where, oh yeah, I had such and such detail it, and it's just like, they didn't detail it. They butchered it.
Yeah, I think that word detailing gets thrown around a little bit. And that's even with myself, with that on my name, it's like, do I need to change that? Because sometimes you don't want that aspect of work, like the maintenance washes and stuff, which we all start from and all learn from. But if you start to get to a point where you don't want to do that, maybe I drop that off and specialize in that field that you like. So
and that's kind of why me and Chelsea sort of played with the bespoke detailing side of things, because it was more, not that I'm trying to chase away the smaller dollar work, but it can get time consuming. So if you're charging, I don't know, well, I charge $99 for my basic maintenance wash in and out, but I've priced it like that because if I'm going to do it, I know it's probably a fair bit more expensive than what the mobile guys are charging around here. Could be like $60-$70, but I have a massive overhead in the shop. But also I even struggle with even the basic detail, like where to stop. Like it's literally a vacuum and wipe down and wipe out the door jambs and stuff. I'm not removing all the rubbish from your car. I'm not going to fold your clothes that are in the back or sort out your center console and glove box. That's what a full interior will do. That's where those things will happen, because I have the time to do that. Whereas my $99 is, you have 90 minutes of my time. I'll spend 90 minutes on your car. If you want me to prioritize the interior or the exterior, or you want me to do both, so allow sort of 30 minutes on the outside and 60 minutes on the inside, that's cool. But that's how I gauge it with people. So a lot of my stuff, I sort of say it's the time. You're buying the time. If there's certain areas that you would rather done more than others, then let's have a chat. Let's discuss that, and that's a lot of the things I do as well with, not a lot, but a lot of customers when they come in and say, oh, I want to get my car detailed or whatever. I sort of say, okay, what annoys you about your car? What's the area that pisses you off the most? And they'll say that scratch there, that stain or whatever, or the smell or something, they'll point it out so you know that, okay, I'm going to focus my area on those bits that upset the customer, as opposed to me thinking of a scratch on the car that they probably don't even know it's there, but I'm spending ages chasing that scratch out, and then you go and point it out to the customer when they come pick the car up. It's like, I didn't know there was a scratch there. It's just like, ugh. So it's like that was something I learned quite early. It was, ask the customer what they want.
Yep.
If you're able to physically walk around the car with the customer and say, okay, you tell me what you would like to be seen done with the car, and that's what we'll do for you. That's what we're here for. So,
yep.
And that's why I went down the bespoke line, so I can tailor it to that.
Yep. Probably like the ones that say, "Oh, I want a full detail." I'm like, well, how full do you want? Like, what do you?
Yeah.
What's
my full detail to their full detail could be very different things.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So it ends up just just inside and out. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Just
you don't want to polish then or correct it.
No.
Yeah. You don't need the headlights done. All that stuff. Yeah.
Where do you stop?
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, nice. We'll do our 6-stage questions as well.
Yep.
Cool. First ever detailing job.
First ever. So I'll do it to when I was in Australia. So my first ever paying customer was a lady. So I was in Noosa at the time. Packed up the van, or I thought I had completely packed up the van. Get to the job, do the outside, get it washed and whatever. It was going to polish it, give it a wax, do the interior. So I had washed and deconned the exterior, and then it was like, okay, I'll do the inside first, and then I know how long I've got left that I can finish on the outside. So this is very early days, very, very green. And realized that I had forgot to pack the tube for my vacuum, the vacuum hose. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm like 25 minutes away from where I lived. Thankfully, my brother lived in Australia at the time. And I called and called. He sleeps in, let's just say. So I was there calling and calling and calling, and I finally managed to get through to him. And I just said, I was like, can you please do me a massive favor? And he went and got it. So customer never knew. Customer just thought whenever the other person rocked up, it was a staff member that was going to jump in and help with the job and whatever. I did come clean at the end of the job. It's like, no, my brother helped me out. He brought the thing and blah, 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 blah. But that was my first job. It was a Toyota Land Cruiser in the emerald green. It was a 1997 7-seater. I think I charged $170 and I spent 8 hours there. So I made nothing off that car.
Yep. Not much.
But yeah, you learn fast.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Favorite polisher? What you go to on?
I'm a Roops man, so I use a lot of Roops. So I've got a few Shine Mates as well, so the Wax It polishers. I love the Mark II. I have the Bigfoots, so the 21, and then I've got a Duetto, so the little 3-inch machine, which I actually might buy. It's one of the very old ones. Like I probably bought that in 2015, late 2016 or early 2016. So it's probably due an upgrade. I've serviced it, changed the brushes and stuff. I've had to change the cord on that one a couple of times. But yeah, the Roots.
Yep. And do you use their pads as well?
I use their cutting pads. So the blue and yellow wool ones. Have you used those?
Not the wool. I'm interested for wool because I just use foam at the moment. I'm interested to learn more, and I think they'd probably have a bit more cutting power than
they're incredible. So regardless of the compound that you use with these, so I'm years ago, whenever they first sort of these pads were hitting the market, I went to a Roots seminar down in Brisbane. Decided I was like, nah, I'm all about education. So if you're able to spend a bit of money on yourself to sort of excel what you do and whatever, or give yourself a bit more idea of what actually happens with these things or what you're doing is right. So went down to this thing in Brisbane, met Jason Rose. He was there. He ran the seminar. So it was a full day. It was really good. It was at a panel shop. So we
What year
played
was
with
this?
all the, that would have been 2017, maybe
Right.
2018. I think he's coming back out next year.
It sounds like they might have to, I think.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Look, absolutely worth it.
Mm.
It wasn't that expensive. It was a couple of $100 that you sit through the whole technology side of things, and then they take you downstairs and you play with all the pads. But the blue pad, for example, so it's the coarse one. I'm a big believer of starting with the least aggressive first, and then moving. If it's not working, work your way up. So I use probably 90% of my corrections is these blue composite pads, so the wool. They finish so nicely. So your next step of the finishing down is a breeze. So I use a few different compounds. God, my main compound is. Have you heard of TLC, the last cut? No. So it's
I might have.
wax it, sell it.
Yep.
So it's an American guy. He devised one years ago, and it was in a black bottle, and it was just the generic cutting compound. Smells of almost like cinnamon, like cherry cinnamon. And then he brought out another one probably 4 years ago, and it's in a white bottle. It's got a blue label. It's the coarse cut, but that stuff finishes down really, really nicely. So then your finishing step after with your foam pad is minutes, as opposed to spending a couple of hours polishing a car. So you can correct the cars down with these on a DA. Obviously, rotary cutting is better; it's quicker. But yeah, I love using a DA. I've got a lot of skill with the rotary as well. But yeah, those twisted loop wool pads will change it for you. Buy yourself one of each, a 3-inch, and buy I don't know if you use a 5-inch backing plate or 6-inch.
Yep, 5.
Just test it. It's so much quicker.
I've done.
Will knock your correction by like half.
I got the Maguire's microfiber. Use that a bit here and there, but yeah, you obviously get a little bit of marring from it as well. But
I used to use microfiber loads and loads, but I'd have loads of I used to have an addiction with pads. Like I had IKEA bloody clear tub boxes. Like I think I had like 600 pads at one stage. It's like, Rudi, this is a joke. Get rid of some of those. You don't use half of them. So yeah, the foam. Yeah, I used to use a lot of microfiber. I just find the whole blowing out, cleaning the pads and stuff that just ate so much time. I have it now down pat, obviously, with these. So with a compressor, just blow the pad out after every pass. That's all you have to do. There's no scrubbing. They don't clog as much as microfiber.
Yep.
And they don't heat up as fast as foam. So you get your longevity. They'll remove sanding marks, like 2000 grit. But it doesn't destroy paint. So it doesn't leave it like when you're heavily marred, like a microfiber will do sometimes, or a rotary. It doesn't leave those pigtails or those deeper marks behind sometimes. Obviously depends on the compound you're using. If you're using like a Fracla, which is like a G3 bloody boat compound, then you will destroy cars. But yeah, those pads are game changers.
You're right.
And I love the HDO foam pads, so the Lake Country.
Yep. So
like a 2-ply pads, they've got like a foam back, and then you've got your color coded for whichever grade, cut, medium, light, or whatever. And so I use a lot of those pads as well. They're awesome.
Wow. I'll have I think Matty Gibb on soon, and he'll probably talk a lot more about pads as well.
Yeah, sweet.
Pad technology. He knows all about that stuff and loves it. So probably a bit of a hard one, ceramic or PPF?
A few of the guys that you've had on previously have said, and I agree with, they both have their place.
Yep.
If it's for a maintenance aspect, ceramic, it's going to make the maintenance side of things so much easier. If it's for pure protection, PPF.
Yep.
Or if you want both, put a PPF coating on top.
Yep.
Ceramic PPF.
I do that. Yep, that's good. And favorite detailing tool or product?
This is really hard. I find this really hard. So I remember, um, obviously my first polisher, like getting my first time using the Roots. So when I ordered that, it was just like, oh my god. Then it would have been the Tornador. So
Oh, yeah.
for interior, that thing was just like, why have I been struggling so long with a vacuum and a bloody brush? Why haven't I been using this for years? Because I've
Yep.
had a compressor for years. Why haven't I been using this for years? And then extractors and stuff like that. But I would probably say favorite product or favorite tool. That is so hard. Um, God, I get geeked out. I like little stupid things sometimes. So I got a couple of years ago. I got a bracket that would hold open doors or boots or bonnets for you.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yep. Used to have them
so
in
I
panel
remember,
shops.
yes. So I remember when the first time when I bought one of those, because doing that fine edge work to make sure that you weren't cutting, burning edges or anything like that, or
Yep.
even just for coating, sometimes it makes it easier. That when I got that, I was like, oh my god, this is a game changer. And then the Tornador and all those sorts of things. So probably I'll go stupid and I'll say polishers. I
Yep.
can't live without those things. They're my bread and butter.
Yep. They make us look good some days.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Biggest tip for a detailer starting out? You probably gave a few earlier on, I
Um,
think.
Education.
Yep.
You can never know enough,
Yep.
and I think the point where you stop learning, you're already behind, in my opinion. So if you're not prepared to sort of, I do it like nearly enough every single. So I order from all different companies, um, and near enough every month I'll order something new to sort of have a play with and whatever. As soon as you stop doing that stuff, I find anyway, you will fall behind or you'll just be out of the loop in terms of what's changing or what's coming new.
Yep.
But education, you can never have enough of it, whether that's through a detailing course or watching videos online or YouTube or whatever. But yeah,
Yep.
education's key.
Yeah. No, we all say about invest back in yourself or your business. That's a good
100%.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, probably another one then. So I'm not very business minded, like numbers and tax and all that sort of stuff. Go do something, whether that's like a bookkeeping course or just get someone who's a professional in that field. It's very similar to a detailer.
Mm.
Someone who's got a scratch in their car is going to come to you to fix it. They're not going to try it themselves. So why try something that you can't do properly? Give it to a professional. I know it's scary in the beginning in terms of the outlay, the money, and all that stuff. But look, you save yourself a world of hurt down the track. If being self-employed, if you want to get a house or a loan or a mortgage or a car or whatever, having these things ironed out from the beginning or early before they become something that you don't pay attention to, and then it costs you a lot of money to fix. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my downfall, like way on back in the day. Yeah, I was terrible with bookkeeping, and so my wife's
Yeah,
got the gig
same.
now, so and she's awesome at it, so
Yeah, perfect,
it does
perfect.
help big time. So
Yeah,
she practically does the job for the accountant for them. Really,
yeah,
I think
awesome.
money for
Well,
jam
all
for
those
them.
things like a Zero or MyOb
Mm.
or those things, they make it so much easier now. Like I have an accountant, so every I think it's every I'm not sure if it's every month or every 6 weeks. They just log in, make sure that I'm up to date with my reconciling, my invoicing. They check my GST and all that sort of stuff and make sure that that's all good. If it's not, they then send me an email or give me a call. And it's that easy. They just jump in, have a look for 10 minutes, jump back out. That's it.
Yep.
So it's not like what it used to be where everything was on bloody paper and you had books and stuff and you
Yeah.
had to keep it for 7 years and all that sort of stuff. All that's gone.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it is one thing, and I know Steve talked about it. Steve O'Connor, so he talked a fair bit about numbers and stuff as well,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a big thing. And probably one more. What's your interests outside of detailing?
Yeah, so I've got a few. So I love football or soccer, as these Aussies
Oh,
call it.
soccer. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm up. I'm a Manchester United fan, so I'm up at stupid o'clock sometimes to watch football matches. What else? I used to play a lot of golf, um, and then we just got a puppy a few weeks, about a month ago. So
Yep.
it would be our weekends are usually taking her out either to the beach or going out for brekkies and taking the dog along with us. I love renovating, stupidly.
Right.
Got little side projects always on the go.
Yep.
Um, what else? And yeah, sport generally. I could
Yep.
watch paint. I love my sport.
Oh, nice.
Thank
Oh, thanks for coming on, Rudi. It's been good.
you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, it was good. So, how can
Yeah.
people reach out to you if they want more
So
info?
they can, yeah, they can reach out through either the business social, so Bespoke Detailing, both on Instagram and Facebook, or they can reach out to me personally. So Rudi Kernan is my name. So yeah, drop us a message, whether that's on Facebook or shoot the business an email. If you have any questions, if there's any other detailers out there that want to get in touch or someone new starting, by all means, get in touch. I'm more than happy to have a chat and
Yep.
spin some yarn and waste a bit of time. Good for that.
No, it's good. No, it was no, I always thought of getting you on. So yeah, no,
Thank you.
thanks for making the time. We have been chatting about it for a few weeks, and
That's all good.
you're not the only one. We're all trying to line up times and dates at the
Yeah.
moment. So
No, that's all good. And thank you very much. I think what you're doing is good. It's
Hmm.
good for the community because, like you know yourself, you've listened to bloody countless podcasts. There's loads in America. There's quite a few in Europe.
Yep.
We don't have anything like that here, so it's good. It sort of gives a grasp of the landscape for all the other detailers out there. You know where people are, what other people are doing. You
Yep.
know, it's good. Keeps you informed. It's nice.
Yeah, because I speak to a lot, like we're all sort of professionals, so we always trying to cater for the enthusiast guys as well. So I'm trying to
Absolutely.
get some other product companies on, not so
Yep.
much super professional line, but then work our way down to the enthusiast line. And yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
for
there's
sure.
other enthusiasts out there that listen probably, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's not all
And
just about us professionals trying to
absolutely.
say
And
what
look,
we do.
another thing, if an enthusiast has listened to this and wants to get in touch, even if it's with me or yourself, by all means, reach out. I'm more than happy. You know, if someone wants to ask an opinion of a product or how to do this or do I clean my wheels properly or blah, blah, blah,
Hmm.
just give me a call or pop in. I can show you that stuff. I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of enthusiasts out there that do want to look after their car properly, and yeah, and
Absolutely.
they love it. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're not just all about the professionals. We are trying to cater for the enthusiasts out there as well. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
for
if you know
sure.
anyone out there wants to come on, give us a
Yeah, for sure.
give us a
I'll send a couple of messages out to a few people. I do think Meander from Detail Mode in Melbourne should be an awesome story.
Yep, I did get their there was one recommendation for them when I reached out on the
Cool.
female request
Yeah.
page. So yeah, that was definitely one. So
Cool.
trying to mix it up all over the country at the moment. So yeah, we had a fair run on Melbourne
Yeah.
detailers. So we'll try and
Yeah.
mix it up a little bit with
Yeah,
yourself in
for sure.
Queensland, and
Yeah.
I'm working on a couple other more. And yeah, there's a few more that want to come on. We're just trying to get dates and times
Yeah.
aligned and
Absolutely.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. And
Scheduling will be the hard part.
it is, and I'm probably not the easiest one to schedule around with what I do as well. But it's good for yourself, like making the time during a work
Oh,
day,
that's all good. That's all
and
good. It's a
come on.
pleasure. It's good. It's not like I get to do this stuff every day. So
Nah,
this is good fun.
yeah, and it breaks up my day as well when
Yeah.
I'm detailing. So yeah, I'll
Yeah.
finish
Cool.
here and go and muck around with the car. So
Yeah, perfect. Good on you.
yeah, all right.
All right, Dale. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it, man. We'll keep in touch, and I'll chat to
Yep.
you soon.
Yeah, no, awesome. And then for those who don't know, I haven't mentioned it too much, but I do throw it in at the start of each pod with our sponsor being Autofiber. So Rudi uses it, I've been using it, and yeah, the applicators are awesome, and the
Yeah,
scrubs.
absolutely. Even things like the dry tiles and stuff,
Yep,
they're awesome because it's that twisted loop technology, so it's better suction
yep.
as opposed to just like chamois should be put in the bin. Yes, they were great back in the day, but they make detailers money because they scratch the crap out of cars.
Exactly. Yeah,
But yeah, they've got a whole heap of stuff there. They're good. Joe's a
yeah.
good guy to do.
So get on Autofiber. Australia and check them out. So yeah, he's got a huge shipment of stock at the moment, so it's been pretty good. So they'll give you the discount. So yeah, all the details are in our ads anyway. So which is pretty cool.
Perfect.
All right, thanks, Rudi.
No worries. Thank you very much, mate.
We'll chat soon, mate.
Take care. Have a good one.
Cheers.
That was another episode of the Detailing Down Under podcast. Subscribe now for everything auto detailing in Australia.